Hello, lovely couples. Today I'm here with Natalie, and we're going to take you through the best questions to ask when you go on your wedding venue tours. We've got a lot of experience doing that, so we thought we'd share some of our top tips to make you look really savvy when you're going around and just to make sure that you don't miss anything along the way.
Yep. Hi, guys. We're Natalie and Talia from Great British Venue, and we research, look into, and tour an awful lot of venues so that you don't have to.
So, the very first thing that we do is when we get to a venue and we get introduced to the coordinator or whoever it is that's going to be taking us round, we ask them, can they take us round in the order that the day would be? Because that way it means we get to see everything in the right order. You can, get a really good feel for how the day will flow. And it'll make it easier to ask all the questions that you know you're going to want to ask without forgetting anything.
Such an important tip, and one that we don't see a lot of other people recommending. And you get to experience it then, the way your guests experience it. You walk through the day, literally. I love that one.
Yeah, yeah. Okay, so shall we actually go through the
Yeah,
questions in the order of
what's
the
some
day
of the
like that
basics?
then?
What should we talk
Okay.
about?
Okay, well, I think first things first is if you want to do it in order, think about before the wedding even starts. So,
Mhm.
do you want to be at the venue the night before? A lot of
Yes,
people do.
100%.
Yeah,
Your wedding
so
morning is not for getting up early, getting in a car, and driving somewhere. You want to be at the venue the wedding before.
yeah,
Sort of, sorry.
yeah,
Or most people do, in my opinion.
yeah. You do not want the panic of traffic that day.
Yeah.
Definitely not. Yeah, it's so worth considering it, and it changes if it's possible, it really changes that whole morning experience so much, doesn't it? Yeah, so it's like, basically, is there accommodation there for a start? And would it be possible to you to have a room booked the night before? Or is it likely that the venue's actually going to be taken over by another wedding party and it's not possible? Like, you do need to clear that up. Don't assume that it'll just be fine.
Yeah. You need to ask, and you need to ask when you can book those rooms. So my wedding venue was booked up Thursday, Friday, Saturday, all those nights. And I got married on a Saturday, and the wedding on the Friday, quite rightly, had first dibs for all the rooms. And they were sort of reserved until I think it was 4 or 5 months before. But you need to know when those rooms are going to be made available for you, because it's not just you that's going to want to stay with your bridal party. It's going to be family, friends, potentially anybody that's coming from out of town.
Yeah. Okay. So, like, following on from your thinking about your wedding,
Yeah.
the next thing is actually,
Is this the time to tell the story about the night before my wedding?
okay.
I think
Uh,
this is the time to tell the story.
yeah,
Let me
that's a
give you
good
an
point.
introduction into who we are, a little bit about what happened. So I absolutely wanted to stay the night before my wedding. I got married up in Clitheroe, beautiful venue. Will definitely feature on the series, but I'll keep that a secret for now. Beautiful venue. Me, the bridesmaids. I think some of the parents, I can't even remember, but I think some of the parents or some of the sort of older relatives stayed.
I was
And
there.
when I say bridesmaids, it was me, a couple of friends, and my daughter, who was 10 at the time. A lovely hotel. We arranged a dinner. We went down into the little local hamlet, and we had tapas, and it was beautiful. And a couple of bridesmaids got quite drunk at the bar the night before, which we might do a whole episode on. But what did happen the night before, which was really good, oh, not really good, was 2:30 in the morning. Ring, 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 ring. The fire alarm went off. And my daughter, who was 10, turned to me. She was like, "Stop the alarm. Why is it so early?" And I turned over, looked at my phone, and realized, oh no, like genuinely, fire alarm, 2:30 in the morning. It was end of November, so it was freezing cold. We were quite far up north, and we had to filter out of the hotel and go stand in on the front lawn, which was actually quite fun, and I didn't mind. And it's an interesting story. But the thing that really got me was when we got outside, I realized my daughter had come outside without any shoes on. So again, 2:30 in the morning, end of November. So whilst the fire alarm was going off, I had to go back in. Didn't know whether the building was on fire. Had to go back in, get her a pair of shoes, and come back out. And it was okay. It was quite a short period. We were back upstairs and asleep again by 3, but it wouldn't have happened if we
I
hadn't
slept through
stayed.
the whole thing, by the way. God, I don't know how it was possible, but I literally missed the whole thing and only heard about it in the morning.
I honestly can't believe how you did that. That was crazy.
Well, we had been kept up because of the people who had the wedding the night before were actually
Yeah.
making an absolute racket, playing the piano in the venue that was in the middle of a great hall in the middle of the night. So there's another thing to think about when if there might be a wedding the night before,
Yeah.
that you kind of end up being in the middle of it potentially.
Are you gonna get enough sleep?
Yeah, because it was driving us insane, and it wasn't us getting married the next day, so, and we also missed the fire alarm, so, yeah, it's worth considering that sort of thing if there is gonna be
It
a wedding the
is.
night before, but
That being said, I'd do it again any day. I would
yeah,
stay over the night before because it's just so nice. We rolled out of bed, put on our fresh pajamas because they've got to be fresh, toddled down to the getting ready room and had the best morning. And we didn't have to get dressed, leave the house, all of those sorts of things. So
yeah,
stay the night
yeah.
before, major priority for me.
Yeah, and you just mentioned the next
Yeah.
very important thing to ask of it is there a getting ready room or a
Mm.
dressing room? Somewhere. Is there a dedicated space that is going to be for getting ready? A lot of venues now are starting to actually build in proper dressing rooms that have all the nice mirrors, nice lighting, proper makeup mirrors with the lights around it. There might be 3 or 4 in a row. It's like being in a salon. And it's like makes it a really lovely experience. Like there's actually ample room for your hairstylist, makeup to come in, set up. You girls can be gathering around, having your croissants and champagne
Mm.
and all of that. It's a really nice experience.
But do you just want somewhere or do you want a purpose-built room? We have seen
Mm.
some atrocious getting ready room because they're not getting ready rooms, they're
No, they're
rooms
just a
that
room.
people choose to get ready in.
Yeah. So you need to ask to see it if
Yeah.
there is one. Don't have expectations of what you're going to get. You need to.
Because you will have expectations of what the photos will look like. If you want those getting ready in the morning photos, you with all your bridesmaids in the matching pajamas or
The light
robes,
streaming through the window and you look
yeah,
all angelic.
check whether
Yeah.
that's gonna be the case.
Yeah, it might be a very dark, dingy room with really bad lighting that your makeup artist is going to absolutely hate.
True, and exactly, even if it's not for the aesthetics, even if it's not for, like, Instagram and it's not
Yeah.
picture, logistically, you need a getting ready room with enough mirrors, enough plug sockets, enough
Enough
space.
lighting,
You need to
enough
be able to
natural
access
light.
it at a decent enough time because you do not realize necessarily right now how early you need to start getting ready. I had 3 bridesmaids and my daughter, and we started getting ready at 7 o'clock.
Yeah,
You
and that was
have
for a ceremony that was at 1, wasn't it? Wasn't it
Mhm.
around 1?
Well,
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah,
yeah.
it's crazy how long it all takes, and a lot of people have more bridesmaids than that, don't they?
That wedding morning, though, was the best part of the whole day. Don't
Loved
tell the
it.
groom, but I absolutely loved the wedding morning. The space, the vibe. It was so, 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 so important to me. So I
Yeah.
feel like if that matters to you, ask those questions.
It was really special. I think it was special for, everyone. I loved it. It was really nice to be able to meet, the
Yeah,
mums, some,
the families
auntie,
dreaming it. Yeah.
it was really lovely. It was a really special part of it and something that you shouldn't overlook, really. Yeah. All right. Okay. So we've got ready.
Yep.
Next thing, well, it's ceremony really, isn't it? So where are the ceremony spaces at the venue? Usually there might be more than one. So it'd be good to be able to see everything that there is to offer. Usually in the UK, it's a case of the actual ceremony rooms are, what's the word? Legal. They've
Yeah,
been
yeah,
made
they
legal
have
to
to
have
be a
ceremonies.
legally ordained room, don't they? So
Yeah.
you can choose a lovely manor house and say, "I wanna get married with this backdrop," but they'll say no, or they might say no.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. So you need to see exactly where they can have the ceremony. And that goes for outside as well. I think there's definitely different rules in the UK than in America as to what's legal to get married outside. I think in the UK, I'm pretty sure it's you need to be under a roof of some kind, which is why there tends to be a gazebo or something set up. But again, you need to check what spaces are available at the
And
venue.
you need to be, as sad as it sounds, realistic. If you are getting married in the UK, you could be getting married on the 1st of July. It's still gonna rain. Like, It might do. It might not, but it might do. So you need to consider what's the indoor option as well. If outdoors
Yeah.
really important to you, do all the right things, get married in summer, aim for an outdoor ceremony, but just be aware what is the backup plan.
Yeah, and it needs to be a quick backup plan too,
Mm.
because English weather is just so changeable, isn't it? So, yeah,
Particularly if
I've
you're going
like
somewhere like the Lake District, it has like its own little mini climate. It can change very, very
yeah,
quickly.
and the clouds just suddenly come and
Yeah.
it's a total like, within 15 minutes, it's totally changed, isn't it? So, yeah, you need to make sure that the alternative indoor ceremony room is ready to go, or it's just like, quick, move all the flowers and like,
Yeah.
it's good to go,
The
or
best
like
piece of ad sorry.
no,
The
it's
best
alright.
piece of advice I got when I got married, I didn't want an outdoor ceremony, but they said, "If you want an outdoor ceremony, make sure you have a backup plan that you love as much as have a plan B that you love as much as plan A,
Yeah.
because then you won't stress. Stress on the wedding day, stressing beforehand.
Yeah,
Is it gonna rain on this day? Is it gonna rain? Looking at all the 15 different weather apps. If you
yeah,
love your plan B, it'll be so much less stress,
yeah,
massively.
yeah, yeah. The possibility is just it's too high, isn't it, for
Yeah.
rain here?
So
Yeah,
we talked about rain. The obvious ceremony one
okay,
is how many people can it fit?
yeah, good point. Yeah,
There's I've been to venues where it fits 60 people, 100 people, 200 people. And I would say be aware if you are going to a massive venue, but you're only having 60 people, you need to think a little bit more about how you're using that space.
what you
Needs to
mean
be
in
a little bit
terms
more
of
considered.
like that you don't want it to look empty, is that what
Yeah,
you're
yeah,
saying?
and, like, how many
Yeah.
rows you have, how big are the rows, and even do things
Mm,
like, have the chairs in different configurations.
yeah,
There's loads of great content out there around, like, having them, like, in semicircles or different lengths of aisle, those sorts of things. You don't want it to look sparse on your
yeah,
day.
yeah, that's a
Like
really
you
good
say, most
point.
venues have totally different rooms and different setups that suit
Yeah,
different guest numbers.
yeah. Okay, so while we're looking at ceremony space, I suppose it's worth discussing what the options are for decor in it. Because when you go round and if it's been set up for a wedding, as sort of as you would see it, it has probably been styled as well, you
Yeah.
know, with the additional things. So you just want to check what is included and what has actually been added extra in what you're looking at, or what the possibilities are for you to be able to add things, because it's usually like very basic, like even you know there might be a red carpet and chairs, but the beautiful sashes that you see on the chairs in front of you aren't included. That was a stylist that's come in
Yeah.
and added them separately. The floral arrangements but some venues are quite good in having sort of set decor. So you just need to ask what is and isn't included. So
And I would suggest, as sort of an extra one, try and see the ceremony space at the time of day that you're planning to get married. Don't go for a tour at 6 o'clock in the evening and think, oh, it's a bit dark and dingy in here. If you're planning to get married at 12 o'clock in the middle of summer, it will look completely different.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I was just thinking about ceremonies at one of the weddings that I've been to recently. So that actually had a setup where there was candles going down the aisle
Love that.
on the end of like the pews sort of
Yep.
space. And remember when we walked in, we kind of spotted the candles, like real candles. And we're like, oh gosh, it's surprising to see real candles, because that's again something you want to ask, because quite a lot of venues don't even allow you to have real candles at all.
Yep.
Especially like the older venues that are, grade one listed and they're protected, and they're
I
very precious about fire
I had real
hazard.
candles, and the venue were like, "Your dress is too big, your dress is too big." It was huge.
Yeah.
It was, like, massive, and they were like, "You're gonna hit the candles," and I was like, "Calm down, the stylist has got this, we've already discussed it, she knows the length and the width, and they're gonna be set up for it." And I think they put them at ease because the candles were there when I walked down the aisle, but yeah, if
Yeah,
that's kind
okay,
of
so
massive
that
for
was
you, it's
fine for
important.
you. However, so the wedding I'm talking about, was my cousin's wedding.
Yep.
My sister-in-law was sat on the edge of the aisle, and
You've told me
just
this. I
before the
remember.
ceremony, yeah, just before the ceremony, her dress set on fire, and she ended up having to pat the fire down because the bride was literally about to walk in, and she was had to pat the fire out with her hand.
If the bride managed not to get set on fire in her big dress, what was his guest doing that
Well,
caught fire?
the bride hadn't actually walked down yet, so, yeah, anyway, it was crazy, and yeah, my poor sister-in-law had to sort of spend the rest of the day with a hole in the
Oh.
back of the dress.
Well, there's a tip for you then,
Um,
guys. Don't
yeah,
go too close to open flames.
I
Because
was
if the
gonna
bride
say
wants it,
make
the bride
sure that
having
you
it.
always have spare dresses.
Yeah. Yeah, yeah, true. Well, you've got to have a spare dress anyway in case somebody just happens to be wearing the same dress.
Yeah, well, anyway.
Okay. So, ceremony. Is there anything else that we should be
Yeah,
asking about the ceremony, do you think? Or
I suppose
timings?
it's pardon?
Is timings like an important one here?
Yeah.
Like, what time would they recommend?
Yeah, yeah. What's the standard for if the ceremony is taking place inside this venue? Yeah, what timings would they recommend for the ceremony to start? Because the rest of the day will follow on from there, which they'll be
Yeah.
used to doing. Yeah. And see if there's any flexibility on that, depending on how you do want to spend your morning or where you
Yeah.
might be based or, think about that. Obviously, there's all the other standard questions around who's actually conducting the ceremony for you. Usually, it's
Yeah.
something that you arrange yourself, depending on what type of ceremony you want. And yeah, you kind of sort it out separately usually. But it's worth checking if the venue does get involved with that.
Yeah. Give it a Google as well because you have to give notice like certain number of weeks, I think, in advance.
Yeah.
You've got to do it in
Yeah.
the local parish, unless you're getting married locally. I think it's surprisingly expensive to get a registrar there and you pay for them to like arrive and their
Yeah.
timescales are going to be quite tight as well. And you want to book it sort of as soon as you can. Usually you can't book the registrar as far in advance as you've booked your venue, but you might be able to pencil it in. So Google is your friend there, I think.
Yeah. Yeah. Maybe we should do another video on that at some point.
Absolutely. Let's do it.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay, right, we'll move on then. So, you've seen all the ceremony venues. The next thing that would happen would usually be a sort of drinks reception
Yeah.
and photos, really.
Yeah. This is my favorite question. Photographers, you're at a venue. What are the must have photo locations? That's
Yeah.
absolutely massive for me. Asking that
Yeah.
question, ask them to take you there, have a look at them. That's as nice as your venue is ever going to look. And you don't want to miss something because you've not thought, oh, that would be a nice place or this would be a nice place.
Yeah. Yeah. And different venues have very different photo potential opportunities, don't
Mm.
they? So if you've kind of got a vision of a certain look from your wedding photos, like you want to be able to see what spaces photos
Yeah.
would usually get taken at that place to see it sort of goes with your vibe that you're trying to go for. And what else at that point? Confetti. Is
Yeah.
confetti
Yeah. Yeah.
allowed?
Do
What
they
kind of
allow?
confetti? There's so many different rules around confetti, I can't really keep track of it. I think it's currently just making sure it's biodegradable, but then some venues don't even like that because they just don't like to have to clear it up.
Yeah. And some will only let you do it outside.
Yeah. Yeah. Ask the question. Again, if you've got a vision of that you want something in particular, find out if it's possible or not first before you book.
Yep, true. What else? So, like, drinks reception, this is where I really love it when a couple does something, like, personalised. You know, like, they've got their little personalised cocktails, and there's a little sign on the bar, like, with his and hers cocktail. We had at our wedding a personalised beer pump sign. You know, like, they had their own craft beer, and we got a sign with our surname on it. That was professionally
Oh,
designed
love
and
it.
attached to the thing, and we've still got that clip, but is there anything you can do around drinks or the drinks reception to make it a little bit more personalised for you? And what have other couples done? Is a
Yeah.
great question to ask the coordinator, I think, there because they should know. They see this all the time. They will have favourite things that they've seen.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. And see what would be included in the standard package. Hopefully, as you're going round, the coordinator will sort of roughly start to tell you what would be included in their
Yeah.
packages and what isn't. And usually there would be some sort of reception drink. um, glass of bubbly, beer for the guys as standard. That seems to be like the typical starting point, and then it's kind of, do you wanna add canapés onto that and
Canapés are a must though,
that?
aren't they? Like, who's having a wedding without canapés these days? You're getting married at 1 or 1:30, the guests have gotta be in their seats, they may have ate before, but they'll certainly be drinking.
Nobody has lunch before
Cana
a wedding. There's
Yeah,
no
a
time
canapé,
for lunch
like,
when the wedding.
I would say if a venue doesn't offer it, it's a bit ridiculous, but if it's not already included, you've got to add it on. For me, that's a non-negotiable. I'd rather have canapés than and less flowers because I think it
Yeah.
really makes the experience, and I know
Yeah.
you're a massive foodie, so
Yeah, it's a big thing. If unfortunately, people get quite bitchy when it comes to weddings and like to find something to complain about, and I think if people are
yeah,
hungry, they really have a moan, don't they? Especially if photos are
ruined.
taking quite a long time, there's quite a big gap before you sit down for the meal, and then there might be speeches first too. So, yeah, canapés just keep people happy.
Yeah,
Um,
and you need to be asking, "What are the options? How many?" Ideally for a
yeah,
taste.
how much?
I think
Yeah,
canapé.
is canapés included in the taster? Yeah, good point. Okay, so I suppose in part of the drinks reception, some people might want to include some sort of form of entertainment at that point.
Yeah,
Yeah, so it might be music, a musician, or I've seen musicians going around, not musicians, magicians,
magicians.
magicians going round at that point to just keep people occupied before sitting down for the wedding breakfast.
Yeah, 'cause it's about 2 hours. It can be about 2 hours. Hour and a half, 2 hours after you've got married. There's photos going on, but you've still got 100 people there doing nothing. You need to entertain them.
Yeah.
I've said this before, but this is one of my favorite bits of the wedding.
Yeah.
Then there's the canapés, entertainment,
When
and
everyone's
we
still
went to.
excited. They're just
Yeah,
excited to be dressed up and seeing all their friends and family, and, it's before you get too tired.
and it's going from that nice romantic, like, formal part of the day to creating the vibe and setting the standard for the rest of the day. And it's
Yeah.
when people who don't know each other first start to talk. So yeah, I think
Yeah.
entertainment's massive. You're a foodie,
Yeah.
but I care about entertainment. So for
Yeah.
me, I'd be asking what isn't allowed. We went to a venue the other day where they had a lovely outside space, but you're
Mm.
not allowed any outside music, or you're not allowed like live performers outside. If you want anything else, if you want a string quartet, is that allowed outside? I think it's
Yeah.
massive.
Yeah. Yeah, you just need to find out if you've got a vision for something in particular. That just made me think actually, because at the point when the drinks reception's going on, you're probably gonna be busy having your
Mhm.
photos done. And you'll be doing, you'll be going off and having your couple shots, you'll be going off and having, your family and wedding party shots, and you might try and gather everyone together at some point for big shot of your whole, all of your guests together. But yeah, so you'll obviously be busy doing that. So you'll want to just find out while you're there, if you haven't got a photographer in mind already, ask which photographers
Yeah.
the venue has got like contacts with that have been there before, because although you might have it in mind that, oh, you don't want to use a photographer that somebody else has used at that venue
That's
before,
recommended.
like, yeah, like, oh, I don't want it to be the same or the same sort of pictures as another wedding. It's just like, get over that.
They are recommended for a reason
Yeah.
because they're good.
Yeah, and because they know the venue and they
Yeah.
know all the best locations and they know even how the light works around the venue, and that's the dark side in the afternoon, and we're gonna make sure that we have these
Yeah.
photos done earlier on, and
Where to do
yeah,
golden hour, like,
yeah,
photos. Yeah, absolutely. And
yeah,
a little bit of a tip or a trick that we do when we're looking for a venue, some of the best information and best sort of insight comes from the research of looking at photographers and what the photographers have which photographers have got tags on Instagram for your specific venue.
yeah,
So literally just searching it like barn wedding venue photography and you'll find a lot, and you can find a photographer there that matches your vibe and has the style that you want. There'll be loads.
yeah, yeah. Good
But yeah,
idea.
massive one that.
Okay, so I'm gonna move us on
We've done
because
the getting ready, the ceremony,
yeah,
drinks
we've not got very
reception.
far.
Okay, let's talk about do we need to talk about the breakfast, like the
Yeah,
food?
yeah,
Just
into
a
the
little bit
course we
more?
do. Like,
Okay,
that's
go
one of
on.
the main parts. So, yeah. obviously, you wanna see where the wedding breakfast is taking place. For
Yep.
anybody, that isn't from the UK, 'cause I know we've got some American friends who were just couldn't get their head around the
Yeah.
fact that we called it the
Breakfast.
wedding breakfast when it's the main
Dinner.
meal of the day, sort of mid-afternoon, evening. But yes, wedding
And it's usually
breakfast
at
is
4 o'clock, which is very
yeah.
odd, I think, for
Something
anybody
like
who's not from here.
that. So you wanna see where that can take place. Again, depending on what type of venue it is, there might be multiple options for where the wedding breakfast could take place. But again, you wanna go and see, you want to see what the table layouts is,
Mhm.
where the top table could be if you want to have a top table, what people who have used the space before have decided to do. Quite often there's different layout options. You wanna know what's exactly included, you
Yeah,
know,
massive
are
one.
the tables
Tablescaping is massive, costs so much. What does the venue
yes,
do themselves?
yeah, but even down to the basics, it's all this sort of stuff that you begin to realise once you start seeing a few. In some places, the tables aren't even included. You have to pay extra for the tables or for the chairs. Or one thing like
Oh, for
that
the
is quite rare.
venue?
That's very rare. But one thing that
Tablecloth.
is actually fairly common is
Mm,
tablecloths,
yeah,
or that you've got to pay a certain amount for a certain package that has the better
yeah.
tablecloths. But I actually was going to say about the chairs.
Mm,
Chairs is a real trend thing. And basically, if you don't want to have what would be considered to be like a conference chair, like a classic
yeah,
boring chair with a chair cover on it, if you want a pretty chair with like a cross back or an attractive chair, quite often they're, like, counted as extra in some
it's
venues,
so
or they're
ridiculous.
brought by a
It's
stylist.
ridiculous how much you care about chairs when you start to
Yeah,
think about it, and it's
yeah,
ridiculous what a big difference it makes to photos. Go and look at photos
yeah.
with those old conference chairs, the white chair cover, and compare
They're
that
covered in,
with a
like,
nice
basically a white
chair.
sock. Yeah.
A white sock.
Well, like, it's pretty
But
tight,
it's true
isn't it? But,
though.
like
I think
yeah,
absolutely. Oh my gosh.
yeah. It's one of
Clean
those things,
if you
I
think
think
we're being ridiculous, go
yeah,
and Google it and then come back and leave a comment because we're not.
yeah,
We're just not.
yeah. It's a hard if it's an additional extra to switch them out, it's gonna be a hard one to pass, your groom because that's something that they won't understand when it comes to budget, I think.
Don't tell them. Just tell them it's like a
It's
necessary, it's a
it's a
mandatory
compulsory.
cost.
There are no chairs.
Yeah,
There are no
yeah,
chairs.
please don't tell them.
Yeah.
Don't let the groom do that to you.
Yeah. Okay, but other than that, you do want to know some venues offer a sort of standard amount of decor within their packages.
Mm,
So there might be some form of centerpiece. So it might be like a candle sort of setup with sort of a mirrored base or something, or some sort of vase floral arrangement included. Um, Again, is all the crockery and cutlery and glassware included? Again, it's stuff like that that you assume the answer is yes, and I really hope it is yes in the venues you go to, but
yeah.
sometimes for whatever reason it isn't. So just find out,
Yeah,
tick the
definitely.
box. So you know. So you just don't want the surprise of additional costs like that if you weren't expecting them when you book, because you wanna
You
book
need to know for
knowing
your
the cost.
budget, don't you? You
Yeah,
need to
yeah,
know, I'm gonna upgrade the glassware, another really important styling one, which makes a massive difference, and if you can afford it and it's
yeah,
important, you might do it, but you need to know what are the in-package glass options,
yeah,
glassware
yeah,
options, and what are the in-package cutlery options.
yeah, yeah,
What would
okay,
you then
so
go and
yeah.
upgrade?
Yeah. So speaking of which, that makes me think about like what's included in the package
Yeah,
option for the food and drink. So again, you need to ask them what their menu options are.
yeah,
Again, they tend to have a set package that might include, 3-course meal. There's a certain amount of menu items that you could choose from. But I suppose there's two questions really. It's like, can you see the menu? Is the
yeah.
menu likely, is it likely to change up by the time for the year you're looking at, or will it be something similar? Um, what your choices are, and then once you've chosen, is there an option for you to give your guests an option when you send the invites out? Yeah,
Are they gonna care, and do you wanna spend your money on that? It's more expensive to give your guests an option, but can you? Is massive. We gave guests an option, and I don't
Yeah.
think anybody really cared.
I cared. I massively appreciated being given a choice, and it
Fair
does
enough.
make it I think it does add an element of super luxury to the
You
wedding when the invite you receive gives you an option for
you're
your
not just
meal.
get
I
what you're
think
given then. Yeah,
yeah,
fair enough.
it's like,
This
"Ooh,
is
ooh, this
the
must be
difference between
posh."
somebody who cares about the food and somebody who cares about the entertainment.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, you do you. It's what
Yeah.
matters to you and
Yeah.
what's most important, and you need
Yeah.
to know what's included and what's not.
Yeah, and again, so the drinks there is usually drinks included in certain
Yeah.
packages. You just need to know what is included in the prices that you presented with, and then how much more it might be if you want to upgrade that. So, if there might be 1 or 2 glasses of wine included with the main meal for each guest, do you want to upgrade it to have a couple more bottles on the table so they can help
Yeah.
themselves? It's a long time period for the guests to be sat down at the table because it's likely you'll have your speeches at the same time.
That's another good question. Speeches. The obvious one, the AV, the microphones, are they
Yes.
included? Is there a master of ceremonies or a toastmaster that like welcomes you into the room, or is the best man doing that? And if he's doing that, does the venue give him a microphone? You know, just little things like that. Do you even need one? You might not, but if you do, the venue will usually have one and say it's available.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
it's worth asking.
Yeah, and that's something that people never think to ask. So yeah, that's really good. What else to do with that?
Yeah, that's it for the wedding breakfast. Speeches, the food, the styling. This is
Yeah.
the part of
Yeah.
the wedding for me where you want people to be like getting merrier, making friends, like
Yeah.
engaging with people, but getting merrier because you move on to the really fun part. You move on to the evening and you want them
Yeah.
to be going into that evening with the best possible
Yeah. Oh, that's a
vibes.
point. Okay, before we move on to evening, numbers. You need to make
Oh,
sure
yeah.
how many
Yeah.
numbers you can have within your wedding breakfast because, again, you might think you know from what you read online about a venue, but usually that's sort of maximum capacity in a certain space, and you might be actually looking at one of the different rooms
Yeah.
in the venue that's actually less people. But you just need to know if there's a certain space that you know you're going to want, how many can you seat for dinner there?
And if you've got a package, it'll usually be 60 guests during the day and 100 in the evening. But how much are extra day guests?
Yeah.
Because you're looking at 100 quid or £100 for the Americans. You are looking at paying extra per additional person you're bringing in for the day. So you want to know because if it's £200, you might think, oh no, that's out of my budget if the prices go up. But that's what changes the package price majorly
Yeah.
because you're having to feed and drink, give these people food and drink. So it's
Yeah.
expensive.
Yeah, and same for children. Usually
Mm,
children are a bit more of a discounted rate, but they're still quite expensive. So yeah, you just want to make sure that you know the numbers so
yeah.
that you can do the maths yourself when you get home of like, what's the package?
How
How
many are
many
we
does that
having?
include?
Yeah.
How
Who's
many
gonna
are we
make the
likely?
list? Who's getting cut if you don't have the budget?
Yeah,
You are as a newly engaged couple, you will be having those conversations
yeah,
often.
unfortunately,
Yeah.
yeah. Um, well, yeah, that's the thing. It's like, have you got a certain list of people that are as absolutely non-negotiable? In which
Yeah.
case, you need to find a venue that caters for it.
Within
Um,
your budget.
yeah, or you fall in love with your perfect venue and
Up
tailor
the
your list
budget.
accordingly.
Yeah. Yeah. True.
Okay, all right, okay, you can go over to talk about entertainment now. Your thing now.
Entertainment, absolute favorite thing at the wedding for me. And basically, here you want to be asking questions of what's possible. If you've got a strong idea already formed in your mind, will we be allowed this? Won't we be allowed this? But you also want to be asking what other couples have done to get ideas. So some of the things that I'd say you really need to consider: are you allowed fireworks? If you are in the UK, you're anywhere rural, you're anywhere by farm, you're not going to be allowed fireworks. So if they're really important for you, you should be thinking about that even before you book to go see the venue. Are you allowed outdoor music, like we said earlier? If so, is there a time it has to be off? Saxophone players are a massive one at a lot of weddings I've been to recently. but they are loud. So, like, is
Oh,
that allowed till a certain point of the day? And then is there anything weird and wonderful? We brought in a shuffleboard table. It was, I don't know how many feet, 10, 8, 9 meters. It was big. And was the space for that? What time can they come in? Where, like the logistics of how they come in and they drop it off and they set that up for the evening. And then other things as well. We had a phone box audio messaging, like voice recording service, so people could leave us messages. Where can that go? So where can your evening entertainment bits go?
yeah.
Is there anything that's not allowed? We didn't have, but I would have loved a fire act, but I could see if some venues aren't going to like that. So is there anything that's not allowed? And importantly, for bands, for DJs, what are the restrictions around noise and sort of time limits? Is there a noise limiter? And in my experience, near enough every venue has a noise limiter, and it's fine. You know, I don't need anything too massive. But what time do they have to stop as well? Are probably the big ones for me. But
Yeah.
Talia, and I know you're the foodie, but what do you enjoy about evening entertainment? What do you
For
want it to be?
me,
Yeah,
it would be the music.
yep,
Again,
good brand.
again, I'm not one of these people that are completely snobby against DJs. Great DJ that plays the tunes
Sounds
that,
like shit.
like, take you back to being teenagers. That's usually the best
Yeah.
options for, yeah, for keeping the crowd happy. But yeah, I think if it's more about creating the atmosphere. So one thing for me is I would be checking out the lighting situation to,
Oh,
yeah,
good
to make sure
question.
that it's dimmable
Yeah,
for
yeah,
evening, because nobody wants to get on a dance floor
yeah.
with bright lights on everywhere. The lights need to have dimmed at this point, make it a bit more romantic. It's definitely evening, sort of sets the tone, and then people will start to get on the dance floor. It helps if you have a DJ or a band that are the people that encourage people onto the dance floor rather
Yeah.
than just having a playlist, because they just add to creating the atmosphere and encouraging people when they might be a bit shy. Um,
But I think
Again,
it's
it's like,
sorry,
yeah, I was
it's
just gonna say,
so
like,
important you check out that DJ to make sure it fits with your vibe, because a lot of
yeah,
them will be included in the package. We've seen loads of packages recently
yeah.
where a DJ is included, and I think that is so risky.
Well, it is. You'd
I
want to find out who
Is he
they
is he gonna
are.
play the Cha-Cha Slide? I don't know. Is he gonna play The Killers, Mr. Brightside? Like,
I
it's
can't tell if it's
very
because you really want him to or you don't.
I don't. I don't. And is he going to say no when Uncle Eddie goes up to him and is like, "Play the Macarena"?
Yeah, that's
You
true.
The relationship with DJ is
Yeah,
massive for me.
it
I feel
is.
very strongly about it.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
if you've got one included in a package, you wanna know who, you wanna speak to them.
You wanna see, there might be videos on YouTube of sets
Mhm.
that they've done for other weddings, things like that. Yeah, yeah, you do.
Yeah, massively.
Yeah, and I mean, some venues don't allow bands. They just don't allow them.
I didn't care about a band, but if that's important to you, would that rule a
It
venue
is
out?
really important to a lot of people. It is.
Yeah, it could
A
rule the
lot of
venue out.
people,
It could be
yeah,
you don't choose it for that reason. Why wouldn't they
yeah.
allow bands?
I
The
think just from
noise?
a noise perspective, yeah.
It's not as neat and compact as a DJ booth.
I don't really know. I mean,
Yeah.
yeah, one thing to it's probably, again, one for another video, but just bear in mind, if you have got your heart set on a band, like, they are going to be a lot more expensive than a DJ.
Oh,
Like
yeah, massively.
like,
You're
I
paying for
mean, you've just
4+
gotta
people.
think, like, the logic of that you're paying more people.
Massively.
Yeah. But
Mass
again, some people would rather spend most of their budget on making sure they've got their dream band there than
Yeah.
spend it on the food, or, you gotta do you, whatever's important to you, but make sure that, the venue you choose is gonna accommodate, those elements that you really feel passionate about and would be upset if you couldn't have for your day.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
absolutely.
So
What
what
haven't we
else?
spoke about?
How many people you can have in the evening? Those add-ons, if it's
Yeah.
possible. What's the
W
maximum capacity?
One we missed, which I think is important, and, I think is a good one to ask, is there corkage? So we talked about drinks, but can
Mm.
you bring your own alcohol? And if you can, what's the situation with paying? Some venues just won't allow it at all, and some I found will, but pretty much price it out by making it so expensive, you might as well just buy their alcohol to begin with. I think that's a massive one.
Yeah, and the same goes for evening food. So, is there
Yeah,
going to be any food in the evening? What is it? Is there a buffet as part of a package? Is there, is there even sort of 2 rounds? Is there sort of a 7 o'clock buffet? And
yeah,
then they might bring out the sausage butties at midnight to soak up the alcohol.
and it's getting more and more popular for people to want outside caterers to come in with like a
Yeah.
pizza oven, and I've seen that work amazingly, or a hog roast, or like those sorts of things. But
Yeah, do
venues
something
don't
sort
like
of,
it.
yeah, or at least
They don't seem to
the
like it. Well, not all of them like
yeah. Yeah, the sort of fully what we'd consider to be the fully managed venues that are the more
it. Yeah.
manor house, hotel types, because they have their own catering and their own bars. Yeah, they quite often say no to that. So if it's something that you've got your heart set on, you just want to check.
Yeah, and it's a
Yeah.
great way to, like, have a little bit more personalization, I think, you know? I love a package because you get a lot of stuff, it makes it easy, it takes a lot of stress away, but you might wanna add in the bits that make you, you, and I
Yeah.
think there's nothing better about a wedding than when a couple has more personalization. One thing we've really not talked about, exclusivity.
Oh yeah. Okay, yeah. That would yeah.
Massive,
Yeah.
massive.
Yeah. Yeah. That's one you probably want to ask straight off, really.
Yeah.
Probably before you even go, before you book your
If it
tour.
matters to you. But I'd say don't be too put off until you've fully understood it, because what do we mean by exclusivity? That's probably
Well,
what do you mean by exclusive? What do you expect an
okay, well,
exclusive venue to
there's
give you?
2 side yeah, there's 2 sides of it in my mind. There is, firstly, is it 1 wedding per day? Am
I
I
can't believe
going
there's
to
any
be
places that are not one
there
wedding per day.
there is. I have been to more than 1 wedding where there has been 2 or even 3 weddings going on at once because the venue was that big. They had enough different rooms to cater for it,
Yeah.
and because they try and get away with it.
Yeah, you
And
can make twice as much money.
yeah, but the thing is that they might not make that obvious to you on booking or
Yeah.
when
Yeah, yeah.
you'll probably only find out about it when it's too late and
Okay.
you just have to accept it. So you want to know if that's a thing they do or do they promise your wedding is going to be the only wedding on the day. That's one. You just don't want to see
Another
another
bride.
bride
You already
on your
crossed it.
day.
Yeah.
No, it'd be awful, absolutely awful.
You give her a little wave. Like,
No.
"Hey, I'm also"
No, it's
no,
your
that's not for
day,
you.
you're the only bride. No, I would hate to see another bride on my wedding day.
Okay,
Absolutely.
but then
So that yeah.
what else do we mean by exclusive? So is it just one wedding a day?
Yeah, but then it's how do you have the whole venue to your wedding? Is there going to be basically the public? Does the public have access to your venue? Because if it's a venue that also operates as a hotel,
Or a restaurant?
yeah. Are they going to close it to the public at that point for your wedding? And like, do you basically get to take over the whole space and everybody there will be part of your wedding party? Or might there be people who have booked some of the hotel rooms that are just on a night away
Yeah,
and
yeah.
they're going to be going down into the restaurant and they'll be in the bar area? Um, there might be dedicated spaces that are considered to be like, this is your party room and that a stranger won't be walking into. But there's a lot of corridors and toilets and, your wedding party does tend to take over a lot more space than you book.
Then you
Excuse me.
think, and whilst you say, I'd say exclusivity is a really important one to understand, but it doesn't necessarily have to be a deal breaker. So if
Yeah.
you are getting married in a country manor that's also a hotel and they have a restaurant, they probably offer a package for exclusive use, but it's
Mm,
likely to be very expensive. It might be
yeah.
an extra 7 or 8 grand to shut down the restaurant for the whole day.
Yeah.
Does the restaurant have a separate entrance? Does it have separate parking? Is it just open for a couple of hours over lunch and then dinner? Are you going to be totally occupied on a different side of the hotel? Is it like a different wing? And for
Yeah.
some people, that might not be a deal breaker. Mine wasn't exclusive. And it wasn't exclusive because it would have added like an extra 8, 9 grand. And
Yeah.
maybe because I was the bride, maybe because I'd had a few drinks, but I don't remember seeing a single person that was a part of my wedding party. And I saved 9 grand.
Yeah.
So I think it's just about understanding where you might cross paths and what kind of people. Ours was in the middle of the countryside and there was like walkers coming in. So if you really don't want to see,
Muddy boots
middle-aged
in the
couples in
background.
walking gear and you think it's going to upset your day, you need to know.
Yeah, that's
But
actually made me think. I was just thinking about your wedding because so Nat got married around Christmas time, and a big thing for you was finding out when the Christmas decor was going to get put up, wasn't it?
I mithered them to death about this. It was over COVID, so we had a 3-year engagement because I should know this. We got engaged in 2020. We never thought that we'd get married in 2021. There was all the people from 2020 who were going to have to rearrange weddings, and we didn't know whether COVID would still be around then. We actually got married in 2023. We got married on our day of anniversary, late November, and we viewed the venue when the decorations were up, and it was beautiful, like all dark mahogany manor house with beautiful fairy lights everywhere, and some Christmas trees, which might upset
Massive
people,
Christmas trees.
but very nicely, tastefully done. And
Yeah.
if you are thinking about getting married around Christmas, I purposely wanted it to be November, so it wasn't too Christmassy, but I wanted the last possible dates before it got too Christmassy. So I had them write into the contract that they would put the Christmas decorations up the weekend before our wedding. And I rang
Yeah.
them the year before and I was like, what day did you put the decorations up? And I rang them like in September. I was like, have you got the decorations scheduled? Are you doing this? Because it saved me thousands in decorations.
Yeah.
Lighting is, like you said, it's a vibe. Like it sets the atmosphere, and it was massively important to me.
Yeah, and things like fairy lights, again, you might have seen fairy lights in the shots of, some other
Yeah,
people's weddings when you see it at that venue, but I don't assume they'd be included by the venue. But
100%. They
find
might not.
Yeah,
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 the
just find out.
photographer photos you see are the best your venue's ever going to look. Because they have been, especially if it's a styled shoot, a stylist has spent thousands showing you how wonderful the venue can look in the best case
Yeah,
scenario.
yeah.
I think there's
Mm,
2 other questions we've got, and I don't know whether you've remembered my very, very favourite question.
no.
When you walk into a venue, ask to use the toilets. It's
Oh,
massive.
yeah, yeah,
Again, we're talking about vibe and atmosphere and how things are styled and what it looks like. The women, at the very least, are going to spend a lot of time in the bathrooms, touching up their makeup, touching up their hair, chatting to people. If you're a guy watching this, well done. Like you've got this far. But also, if you've ever been to a wedding with a female partner, they've likely gone off to the bathrooms and been gone for 20 minutes. So you've got no clue what's happened. And she comes back and she's made a new best friend forever. And they've got a selfie and she knows her dog's birthday and all of that because we do, and everybody does, like to spend some time in the bathroom. And we like it to be nice.
yeah,
You don't want to go into a venue where the bathroom is awful. It looks like a school gym. You
yeah,
want it to be classy. You want it to be nice. You want it to be big enough. And I think
yeah,
that's massive.
yeah, yeah, definitely. Check it out. You just need to go and see for yourself. You don't need to ask. You just go and have a little nosy.
Am I saying
Try
it's like
taking a
schools?
selfie in there. Yeah.
Bathrooms.
Yeah. Yeah. Definitely. What is left? Some of the big ones. Have we missed anything? I mean, we've
There's
probably missed like
we've not talked about accommodation, and it's kind of obvious, and
no.
it's not very sexy, but accommodation. Where are
I love
people
the
going?
no, like accommodation is a really big thing for me. So again, if you are purposely picking a venue because you want there to be accommodation on site,
Mm,
you want to obviously be there yourself, be there in like the bridal suite on an evening, have
yeah,
somewhere to go to freshen up, like really
yeah,
useful to have hotel rooms for that for you and your wedding party.
yeah,
Also for the guests, it's really nice for guests to be able to book a room there. So
yeah,
again, they've got somewhere to escape to in those periods of the day where it actually might be dragging on a bit, or they get a bit tired, or they just want to change their shoes or change their outfit, just freshen up. Have some of the guys, they might want a little nap, just a little disco nap before the evening. It's a nice to have the option to have accommodation on site. So if you can, view the rooms, see as
yeah.
many of the rooms as possible. You don't just want to see the rooms that
The
you would
bridal suite.
be no.
bridal suite's gonna be nice, and if it's not, run. But if it matters to you when you put your guests,
Yeah.
view an average room because there'll be some average guests in average rooms. Average guests, well, not everybody's gonna make top
You mean
tier.
just like with the normal guest?
No. Well, one of the bets I loved was deciding who got what room, and you got a lovely room, remember? You
I
got the
did.
queen suite or something,
Yeah.
and there was, like, 8 suites. But some people, Talia, hopefully they're not listening, or hopefully they are, didn't get a suite, got an
Yeah.
average room. Some people got a superior double. Some people just got a double, that's the case at most venues. They
Yeah.
have the bridal suite's gonna be lovely, they have other suites, and then they have average rooms.
Yeah, but you want to know what you get for your money
Yep.
because wedding venue accommodation is renowned for being incredibly expensive. So your guests are probably going to complain behind your back about how expensive it is there, but it helps them get over it
If
if
it's not
it is actually
atrocious.
yeah, if it's lovely. Yeah. Yeah, it needs to be worth it. A nice little trip for them.
What about the guests who aren't staying on site? Maybe they're
Well,
quite
yeah.
local, or
Well,
maybe they don't wanna pay the very expensive prices, or they don't make the cut. Unless your
that
wedding venue has 50 rooms, there might be some guests that have to stay elsewhere.
Yeah, yeah. So basically, yeah, just ask what are the local hotels that other wedding parties you've used for that venue. Is it possible to get order Ubers easily at the
Yeah,
venue?
it's the signal. Like, is a
Yes.
taxi is a thing. If you're getting married in a little village, is there, like, Jim's taxis and there's only one taxi? Like,
Yeah.
that's important for guests to know.
Yeah.
But you
It
can't
it
tell the
really
guests unless you know it yourself, so you need to be
yeah.
asking.
Yeah. Exactly. Yeah. Uh what else? I think that covers a lot. I think we're gonna have to
Well,
wrap this up because I'm
there's
losing light. I've used
I know.
like
No, gone.
I'm just
Totally
gonna be sat in the
failed.
dark in a
There's
minute.
see what did that. There's one more question that is possibly the end question you ask, possibly the most important question you ask. And I use this in all walks of life. Oh, that's my face. I use this in all walks of life. But the question you want to ask is, what are some of the reasons couples wouldn't get married here?
Yeah.
What
Yeah,
are
that's
some of the
good.
key things that means this isn't the right venue for a couple? And don't let them tell
Yeah.
you there's nothing wrong, because there's always no venue is all things to all people. Can they push them to be specific? Are some of the reasons couples wouldn't get married here? Is it because one, the outdoor space isn't very good, or it's not very expansive? Which, if you're like me and are allergic to the outdoors and want to get married end of November, you're going to be inside, so it's fine. But if you want a
Whereas
summer wedding,
yeah, I'd be
yeah,
all about
it
the
might be
outside.
different. Is it couples who are looking for like a traditional like day and setup don't get married here because the venue's a bit quirky? Fine. Is it couples don't get married here because the numbers, like the capacity is tiny and they have a bigger guest list? I think just asking that question and ask a couple of times if they don't tell you straight away helps you get an answer you might not have got before and get an understanding of the person showing you around, how genuine they're going to be, how honest they're going to be,
Yeah.
how open they're going to be. They should
Yeah.
accept that not every venue is for every couple.
Yeah. And I
Everyone's different.
suppose, yeah, down to the being genuine, you want the wedding coordinator to be honest with you about prices. Give
100%.
you full, price list of packages, additional extras. You want to be given everything. And if you look at it and don't understand what it means or what actually is included,
You're not alone.
please just you're not alone. Every package at every venue is displayed differently, and it is very difficult to spot what is and isn't good value. I feel like sometimes they do it to baffle you. So just ask the question, get them to go through it with you so that by the time you've left and you're going home and you're really excited about it, you want to be able to do the maths and understand if you can afford it or not. Yeah.
I think now we've thrown a lot of questions at you. We've talked a
Yeah.
lot. Hopefully you've come away with something that you wouldn't have thought about before. Like, oh, I never would have thought to think about the toilets. Or I wouldn't have thought to ask that question about what's some of the reasons people don't book this venue. What I would say is you are being sold to more than ever now that you are engaged. It is one of the biggest purchases that you are ever going to make. It is your wedding day. You're only going to do it once. Tell yourself that. You're only going to do it once.
Yeah.
Ask a lot of questions. You can be
Yeah.
picky. This is your wedding day. Like, enjoy it. Ask the questions. Find out.
Yeah,
and
and the
that's what the venues are there
venue
for.
yeah, the venue is going to be the most expensive part of it. So you need to get that
Oh,
right. Yeah, so don't be afraid to ask a million questions before you make your mind up and book. Hey, we're gonna wrap it up there because it's gone dark in the time that we've been chatting away.
that's how long we've
But
been going.
if there's any questions that you think we've missed that are really important to ask on your wedding venue tours, drop them in the comments below because our other couples will really appreciate seeing some of those. We actually are planning to make a checklist for you guys of all the main questions that we've covered today that we'll make available as a download in the description as well. So make sure that you get your hands on that before your next tour because it'll make you look super savvy and clued up and you will not get taken advantage of with some of those questions.
Nothing else to say apart from happy venue hunting and see you in the next video.